Yes. One day as I the dab they go. Now I see my neighbor on top electric pole. No be how my hold so.
Before, so
Climb every day. Come on electric bill. You not gree pay.
wetin concern you for there? Abeg you, come over here.
Okay, oh. I don't talk my own. As I dab reach house. Yay! Fire! Fire! My brand new flat screen.
Hold up.
Wetin concern you for there? Abeg you, come over here.
Government property, na my property. If you don't come down now, I go report.
No be only report. Na report card.
Dab. Yes.
Good day, you're welcome to News on the Hour, coming to you from the studios of New Frontiers Television. My name is Adiola Adegoke. On national issues, another batch of 258 Nigerians have returned from Libya. The returnees, comprising 229 male adults, 24 females, 4 children, and 1 infant, arrived at the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos, at about 9:50 a.m. this morning, aboard a Libyan Airlines flight LAA 1464-1465 through the efforts of the National Emergency Management Agency and the International Organization for Migration. Over 1,500 Nigerians have so far returned from Libya since the beginning of the year, some voluntarily while others were deported. NEMA said the returnees came back voluntarily, and most of them were artisans who had gone in search of greener pastures. NEMA's Deputy Director, Search and Rescue, Dr. Bandele Onimode, who represented the Director General, Alhaji Mustang Mahaja, said the agency was in touch with the returnees' various state governments for rehabilitation programs for them. Still on national issue, the federal government has said it is planning to convert the Industrial Arbitration Panel into a commission to give it more power in its operation in the country. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, disclosed this while receiving the management team of the Industrial Arbitration Panel in his office in Abuja. Ngige said the establishment of the commission would enable the panel address most of the challenges being faced in the discharge of its responsibilities. The minister said the establishment of the commission would enable the panel to give in its just judgments without fear or favor and without discrimination. On to assembly issues, the Ekiti State House of Assembly has ordered Governor Ayodele Fayose to set up a judicial or administrative panel to probe his predecessor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, for alleged mismanagement of state funds. The Assembly gave the directive following a motion moved by the majority leader, Tunji Akinyele, and seconded by Mr. Abiola Jeje. Citing Section 129 of the 1999 Constitution, the Assembly had on March 22nd, 2016 and February 7, 2017, summoned Fayemi to appear before the House and defend himself over alleged diversion of 852 million naira Universal Basic Education Burst Fund during his term. But the former governor refused to honor the invitation and instead wrote to the Assembly stating that the explanation sought was contained in his handover note. The lawmakers at a plenary presided over by the Speaker, Kola Oluwole, on Thursday berated Fayemi for treating the Assembly with contempt. And on education, an agency of the presidency, the President's Schools Debates Nigeria, and Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose have honored some brilliant secondary school pupils of the state. They were honored for an outstanding performance in an international debate competition in Singapore. The state contingent came tops of the National Junior Engineer Technologist and Scientist competition and also came first in the National Executive Council Senior Secondary Certificate Examination. According to the coordinator of the organization, Dare Oritu, the performance of Ekiti debate team was the basis for nominating it to participate in the International Debate Championship in Singapore. Speaking at the event, Governor Fayose advised the federal government to recognize the contribution of teachers to national development and reward them accordingly. Still on education, the Kwara government has shut down 3 schools in the state for alleged examination malpractice. Alhaji Musa Yeketi, the State Commissioner for Education and Human Capital Development, announced this on today in Ilorin. Yeketi listed their names as top-class secondary school, Kelanko Ilorin, Banwo International College, Ajasheikpo, and AJVIC College, Amoyo, near Ilorin. He explained that the schools were shut because they registered external candidates for the West African examination without duly informing the ministry. He alleged that at one of the schools, the ministry discovered that while some candidates were already writing the essay part of a particular subject, others were still on objectives. Yeketi warned that the present administration would not give room for examination malpractice or non-compliance with statutory requirements of the education sector. He, however, said the schools will be reopened when they fully complied with the directives in the ministry. The federal government has deployed 5,436 volunteer teachers to Lagos State under its Empower Job scheme, aimed at boosting human capacity in public schools in the state. The state's Deputy Governor, Dr. Idias Adebole, made the disclosure at the induction course for Empower Teachers Corps, organized by the State Ministry of Education in Ikeja. She said the major challenge in the education sector is the shortage of manpower, and it is a fact that quality teaching and learning is better achieved when there are fewer students for a teacher to handle. Adebole added that the injection of the huge number of corps into the school system should considerably address this challenge. She emphasized that the state government recruited 2,300 teachers in the last 2 years to reduce the teacher-students ratio. The Deputy Governor noted that the incorporation of the volunteer teachers into the education sector will address the problems of shortage of teachers in Lagos public schools. We'll take a break and we'll be back with more stories. You're still watching News on the Hour, coming to you from the studios of New Frontiers Television. On foreign affairs, Nigeria was on Thursday appointed as the acting president to preside over the 81st plenary meeting of the United Nations General Assembly at the UN headquarters. Nigeria's ambassador, permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Tijani Bande presided over the 193-member body. Bande's presidency at the plenary meeting happened just 9 days after he presented his credentials to the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. Nigeria was appointed one of the 21 vice presidents of the General Assembly on June 13, 2016 at the 71st session of the General Assembly. Bande presided over the General Assembly following the absence of the President of the Assembly, Peter Thompson, who was on an official travel to the Central African Republic. Moving on to health matters, the federal government has said that some of the schoolgirls released by Boko Haram militants over the weekend would need surgery for various ailments. The Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Ajia Jumai Alhassan, who said this at a press conference in Abuja, stated that these girls were undergoing treatments that would take a few weeks to complete. No fewer than 276 schoolgirls were abducted over 3 years ago, while 82 were released after negotiations involving the Swiss government, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and the federal government on one side and the terror sects on the other. 21 of the girls were released in October 2016, but are yet to be reunited with their parents. The minister said results of the medical tests so far conducted on the 82 Chibok girls who were kidnapped from the government secondary school, Chibok, Borno State, in April 2014, had shown that some of the youngsters needed to be operated upon. She stated that the medical screening being carried on the girls would be completed between 2 and 3 weeks. A study has shown that over 4 million Nigerians are living with type 2 diabetes mellitus, a chronic condition that affects metabolism of glucose in the body. The study, led by researchers, noted that 4.7 million Nigerians between the ages of 20 to 79 years were living with the condition. According to the lead researcher, Dr. Davis Adeloye, more Nigerians will be affected by the condition unless stakeholders put in place effective public health response and strategies for higher public awareness. Moving on to Metro, an accident which occurred at the Magboro end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway has caused serious gridlock. The accident, which involved a truck and a Hyundai Accent car, was caused by reckless driving, according to an eyewitness. No life was, however, lost. Policemen and officers of the Federal Road Safety Corps were already at the scene of the accident to make way for a free flow of traffic. An average Nigerian should know what to do in moments of medical emergencies. The immediate treatment given in such cases is known as first aid treatment. Our reporter, Adiola Adegoke, has the report. First aid is the immediate treatment given to an injured person or someone that suddenly falls ill before the arrival of medical personnel. First aid treatment is mostly rendered in state of emergency. It involves careful application of accepted principles of treatment using facilities available to the first aider and within the short distance to the hospital. In cases of emergency and accidents, lots of people have taken up the responsibility of applying first aid. Majority of Nigerians do not have an idea what to do in cases of emergency.
The use of the first aid kit. And I think part of the first aid kit, you have the pain reliever that you can make use of. It could be a drug, you understand. Then probably if the person has a wound, there is cutting that you can make use of. There is methylated spirit that you can also make use of. So these are the things I think you can do to at least to first of all cool the tension of the person's pain. That would be the first thing.
People carelessly rush to lift accident victims, leading to outright death. The casualty have gone through trauma and a possible hit to some of their vital organs. Lifting them suddenly out of panic will only aggravate the injury and lead to outright death.
The first aid I'm going to apply is bringing people out from the bus with immediate effect because the bus might get burnt, might catch fire, and after that, check people, because some people might not get injured physically, but internally they might have internal bleeding, you may not know. You start checking them, ask them if they have any funny feeling. Then those that are injured, look for water around. If there's no water, you just clean their wound and try to cover the wound with their clothes. Then from there, start calling people, something.
People who are not trained and do not know how to offer first aid to accident casualties often attend to them, leading to the death of the casualties even before getting to the hospital.
In the case of an accident, I would give CPR. I would give CPR to the parents, to the patients involved before the arrival of the ambulance. And if the CPR given actually works on the person might actually gain its consciousness and thereby not die.
In a bid to forestall deaths in cases of emergency, Nigerian Red Cross is doing its best to ensure that an average Nigerian understands some basic first aid tips.
When there is an emergency, you need to be calm. Number two, you need to be safe. We need to reassurance. It's a very serious thing, but a lot of people violate that. Reassurance, and as you are managing, you are letting the person know, don't worry, you'll be fine, you'll be okay. Because whenever there is an occurrence of an emergency or anybody is injured, tension heightens. Okay? So as a first aider, you need to do everything. You try as much as possible to take the mind of the person out of that particular situation. Okay. Imagine you are trying to handle somebody that is bleeding, and as you are doing the bandaging and everything, you are talking football. Temporarily, the mind will be off that, and so reassurance. Another thing is, do not give anything by mouth to an unconscious person. This is very, very rampant. Whenever anybody slumps, people don't want to know why the person slumped. There are so many situations that can make somebody to slump or collapse. Okay, there are so many situations. It could be heart attack, it could be head injury, it could even be stroke, it could be asphyxia. There are so many conditions. It could even be diabetes, could make anybody slump. But the first thing that comes to the mind of people is, let's pour water. At that moment, you don't give anything by mouth. You don't pour water. You just ensure that the person can breathe air freely. When there's broken bone, before you do anything, before you move the person, make sure you immobilize. Just get something tight. Prevent the place from moving or bleeding. Whenever you see blood, don't shout, don't cry. Just get something, tie up the place, and make sure the place that is bleeding is raised above the heart level. Okay? Because when we say we want to stop blood, don't use all this primitive method of put all manners of. Okay? All you need to do is bleeding from here, raise it above the heart level, find something to put pressure on the place, and 2-3 minutes it's going to stop.
Do not rush to an accident scene to help out victims without knowing exactly what to do. My name is Adiola Adegoke, reporting for New Frontiers Television. And on to court matters. The Supreme Court has affirmed the election of Governor Okezi Ikpeazu of Abia State after dismissing the case of Ukechukwu Oga, who had earlier obtained a judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja to replace Ikpeazu. A 5-man panel led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onohe, dismissed Oga's appeal for lacking in substance. Justice Okon Abang, then judge of the Federal High Court Abuja, had in his judgment delivered on June 27, sacked Ikpeazu and directed the Chief Judge of Abia State to swear in Ukechukwu Oga as the state's governor. But in its judgment delivered on August 18, 2016, a 5-man panel of the appeal courts led by Justice Ellen Ogunwumiju nullified Justice Abang's judgment and set aside all orders, including the one directing INEC to issue a fresh certificate of return to Oga. The Supreme Court, in its lead judgments prepared by Justice Dati Joe Mohammed but read by Justice Ejembi Eko, affirmed the substantial decision of the Court of Appeal today. Still on court matters, an FCT High Court has granted a former minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Bala Mohammed, bail. Justice Abubakar Tauba granted Mohammed bail in the sum of 500 million naira with 2 sureties in like sum. The judge ruled that one of the sureties must be a senator while the other must be a director of the Federal Civil Service. Both sureties must have landed property in the FCT and show evidence of tax payments in the last 3 years. The former minister was also ordered to deposit his passports with the registrar of the court. Justice Tauba had remanded Mohammed in the Kuje Maximum Prison on Wednesday after he was arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on 6 counts bordering on the abuse of office while he served as Minister of FCT. That's the much from the national scene. We'll take a package on business with Precious Amayo.
The National Bureau of Statistics has released the internally generated revenue figures for 35 states for the 2016 fiscal period, with the total IGRO rising by 17%. Specifically, the IGRO increased by 119.28 billion naira from 682.67 billion naira in 2015 to 801.95 billion naira. The Bureau in the report stated that Anambra State had yet to report its IGRO in full for the year under review. It said while some states recorded a decline in revenue, others were able to shore up their revenue base during the period. An analysis of the report showed that 22 states were able to shore up their revenue, while 13 recorded a decline in revenue performance. In terms of performance, the report stated that Lagos State recorded the highest IGRO of 302.45 billion naira during the 2016 fiscal period, as against 268.2 billion naira the previous year. The report said the revenue was generated from pay-as-you-earn, direct assessment, road taxes, revenue from ministries, departments and agencies, and other taxes. Namibian Finance Minister Kalish Letin has said the country has secured a 10 billion Namibian dollars, which is equivalent to $750 million loan from the African Development Bank to finance its budget deficit and infrastructure projects. Namibia's budget deficit is expected to narrow to 3.6% of GDP in the current 2017-2018 fiscal year from 6.3% in the prior year. Schletten said the loan will be distributed over a 2-year period, with 6 billion Namibian dollars allocated for budget support, while 4 billion Namibian dollars will be used to finance infrastructure in sectors such as transport and renewable energy. The Namibian government is facing a severe cash crunch that has resulted in budget cuts as well as liquidity constraints in the domestic market, characterized by persistent undersubscription of government debt instruments. The South Korean government has ordered car makers Hyundai and Kia Motors to recall about 240,000 cars after a tip-off from a whistleblower. The ex-Hyundai employee raised concern about defects which affected 12 different car models. It is the first time the country's transport ministry has issued a compulsory vehicle recall. Hyundai and Kia had earlier refused to act voluntarily, saying there was no safety risk. Kia is an affiliate of Hyundai, and officials are reportedly asking the country's prosecutor to look for any evidence of a cover-up at the car makers. The models affected include Hyundai's i30 hatchback, a Sonata mid-size sedan, the luxury Genesis, and as well as its Carnival minivan. These models and others were found to have issues with vacuum pipes, fuel hoses, parking brake light issues, and several other faulty parts. The planned recalls will add to the 1.5 million cars which Hyundai and Kia offered to fix last month in South Korea and the US over possible engine stalling. Precious Amayo reporting.
You're still watching News on the Hour, coming to you from the studios of New Frontiers Television. Up next is Sports with Adebola Adeleke.
In yesterday's big match between Manchester United and Celta Vigo, Manchester United survived a huge late scare to edge past Spanish visitor Celta Vigo and set up a Europa League final against Dutch giant Ajax. Leading 1-0 from the first leg, United took control as Maureen Fellaini headed home Marcus Rashford's cross.
Exquisite finish from Marouane Fellaini. Well, he hasn't always been a fan favourite. He certainly is now. United lead 1-0 on the night and 2-0 on aggregate.
But Celta, needing 2 goals, leveled the night through Facundo Roncaglia to set up a tense final few minutes.
Vigo here, that's exactly what Manchester United did not want to happen. It was Facundo Roncaglia, the defender, who got his head to it.
United's Eric Bailly and Roncaglia were sent off after a mass brawl, and the hosts hung on to reach the final. Indeed, they could only celebrate after Celta striker John Guidetti scored a golden chance to put the visitors through to their first major European final with the final kick of the game. The aggregate victory took the Red Devils a step closer to their first Europa League triumph and a return to the Champions League.
Was an absolute nerve shredder. Wow, what a finish. And it looked with almost the last kick as if John Guidetti would grab it for Celta Vigo, but he didn't. It happens for Mourinho. It happens for Manchester United. A memorable European night here at Old Trafford.
They will meet Ajax, who beat Lyon, in the other semi-final in Stockholm on 24th of May.
Надежный в таких простых ситуациях. Прострел 2-1. Движение вне игры, снова проваливается этот фланг. Опасный момент. Мяч катится. Гол!
And in tennis, Andy Murray, world #1, said he is concerned following defeat by Borna Coric in last 16 of the Madrid Open, but denied being low on confidence. Murray was beaten 6-3, 6-3 by Coric, ranked 59 in the world on Thursday. Coric, 20, also gained it. The Croat broke his Scottish opponent 3 times in the opening set, and a further break in the second was enough to ensure victory in 1 hour and 25 minutes. Adebola Adeleke reporting.
And that's the much we'll be taking on News on the Hour for this hour. My name is Adiola Adegoke. Do have a lovely afternoon.